Hey, what's up, Reefers? Figure it's time to do a tank update to see what's new with this tank. So as you can see, I added some corals and fish, some easy to keep corals since the last check-in. And let's start from the left-hand side. So I went to a fellow Reefer and bought some frags off of him. I'm not a big fan of frag disc, because it just doesn't look natural, so I try to bury it under the sand. And the one we're looking at is called the Blue Eye Girls, and I purchased this for I think $15, so it's really cheap frag. And again, this light is, the camera is struggling with the blue LED light, so in person it's kind of like a pinkish, it's kind of pink on the interior oral disc. Well, the outside of the interior oral disc, and right near the center there's a hint of like purple or blue. I mean, it's kind of a stretch, but there's a hint of some other color. It's funny because like there's some people calling certain corals purple when they're clearly brown, or something a slight shade of yellow, they're called gold. And whatever, I mean, it's all marketing, I guess. But it was previously under T5 lights, and it's just been under LED for about a week and a half, so maybe the color will morph a little bit. We'll see. But so far they seem pretty happy there. Again, the camera is struggling to pick up it's struggling with the blue LED lights of the Radeon Gen 3. So I'm gonna figure something out to make sure the white balance is correct. So right now it's still kind of sketchy. Alright, well, moving on to this zoa. This is actually called Armor of God. Before I left the hobby a couple years back, these were like the ones to go for. It's like these and the Safe Crackers and the Tub Blues. But now I guess everybody has this, so the prices come down, and I saw it, and the guy was like, oh yeah, I can sell you a frag. So there's actually 18 polyps there. I mean, kind of wraps around a little bit. And I got it from him for 40 bucks. And the Blue Eye Girl that I got for $15, if I remember right. So now the Blue Eye Girl comes on top of a frag plug. That's that little ceramic disc underneath it. While the other one is pretty much fresh cut frag, where I can just kind of plant into my base rocks, which is great. I'm not a huge fan of the frag plug because it doesn't really look natural, as you can see on the Acan. So here we're looking at the red and white Acan. I got this piece from him for 60 bucks, which I thought was great because like there's so many heads. There are a couple heads right here, and bunch of little heads popping out all around actually on the other side as well. So I'm having a little bit of issue with the Acan because they're not really expanding as much as before. Maybe it's because the light is a little bit stronger now. I'll say the first 2-3 days it's still expanding a lot. It's really puffy, which I thought looks great. But since then, it kind of just, it's not really closed, but it's more compact. So I'm guessing maybe the light is a little bit stronger, so it doesn't need as much surface area. But anyways, Acan is also pretty hardy in general, so I thought, okay, this could be one of the first corals to go into my tank as well, just to test out the water, make sure everything is good. And I really like this look. So that fellow Reefer is also selling some rainbow Acan of about the same price. But the rainbow Acan did not look as great as this red and white under regular lights. I mean, the rainbow red Acan looks awesome under stronger UV lights and a tinic. But otherwise it looks kind of just red. So I offered this red and white. And it seems to be pretty happy, except for the fact that it's not expanding fully. So we'll give it some time and see. I may have to move him to a different area. Right now it's pretty direct lights with really low flow. Alright, moving on up. This is the last coral I got since the tank update. This is a Colt coral, except it's called Blushing Colt, where it does not get huge in terms of height. It spreads relatively quick, and they only supposed to grow up to 2 inches in height, and they're pretty easy to peel off. So I mean, it sounds pretty interesting. I thought it would look nice to have a little forest of it kind of going across. And the Reefer said that these guys are really easy to peel off the rock, so I'm hoping well, first I'm hoping that I have that issue where I spread too much, and then next I hope this is right, I can just peel it off the rock. Otherwise, I'll be in trouble. So these are the new additions, and of course, let's go to the fish. So I got these fish from PetCo because they had a huge sales going on. All the saltwater fish was 30% off. And these guys were originally $15, and these were aquacultured. So they're not wild caught, which I thought was great. So they all each come to like what, about roughly $11, $11.50 per fish. And these are great deals. And I never really got fish from PetCo before, and I heard a lot of horror story. However, they have like a huge tank of these, and they're all eating great. So I got them, and as you can see, it's been a week and a half, and they're doing great. Looks really, really healthy. Every time I drop food in there, frozen mice and shrimp, they just go after it. They're still a little bit skittish. They'll hide behind this rock, but when it gets a little bit darker, they'll come out to the front, especially when there's food. They're actually comfortable enough to come up to the front and chase after food now. Before, they'll hide behind this rock and wait till the food to float back there. So I guess they're slowly getting used to my presence. Okay, not really. They're hiding back there now. But yeah, love those guys, Banggai Cardinals. So these are all the new addition, 3 fish and 4 corals. And so far there's no casualty in the tank yet. Oh, the emerald crab molted once, a big one, molted again, so they got huge. And the scarlet hermit that was like going around pulling out the hermits out of the shell to get their shell. I banished him to the sump, and I still need to drop by a fish store to pick up bigger shells. One more thing. So next to the Colt's coral, there was actually a little bit of green star polyps, so I just kind of pulled the green star polyp off and put them on this little piece of rock. So they're separate from the main rock in case they do spread that fast. In my previous experience, they do spread pretty quick. And as you can see, I just kind of jammed them in there. They are already kind of, the mat seems to already be attaching, if I'm looking at it right. And polyps are open, and the green polyp is actually the metallic green one, which I like, so that's awesome. And there's tiny bit of hair algae left, and that's the only spot in the entire tank and sump that got hair algae left. One more thing. So my favorite creature, the conch. Oh, actually came out. Look at this. He has been gone for 2 weeks. He has been hiding under the sand over there. I looked it up. Supposedly when they're shelling, they're growing a new shell, right? Or like they're kind of, is it upgrading a shell or growing a shell? They tuck themselves under the sand. So I haven't seen them for like 2 weeks. And most I just see eye stalk coming out. So this is actually the first time I see his feeding trunk, which is awesome. And I've been feeding my Mexican turbo snails seaweed or nori. So maybe after this I'm gonna go grab a piece of that, kind of soak it a little bit and see if he'll eat them. And the sump has a lot of slime algae right now on the sand beds, diatoms. So if he actually decides to come out completely, maybe I'll just drop him in the sump for a little bit to let him clean up down there. All right, well, really exciting time, really good timing. Seriously, I haven't seen this guy. Wasn't too worried because I know conch, they tend to like hide under the sand once in a while for a couple weeks. So it's cool. All right, well, that's it for this update. And I'm gonna go feed my conch. Later, guys.